Welcome to Standing Up. So I guess you would agree that pulling out unilaterally, it's not realistic. It's not something that we can do tomorrow. So you think the next practical step would be to begin to allow Palestine to be an independent state, so they could have the institutions in place that wouldn't allow Hamas to take over after
What's
Israel?
wrong with Hamas? But you tell me what's wrong with Hamas. What has Hamas done for, okay, you have to look at it as a Palestinian.
Mm-hmm.
Hamas represents the observant Palestinian. PFLP and Fatah never did that. It holds up values. And they fluctuate. Hamasis are people who fluctuate. So you have the people who are for violent resistance, and you have people who are like, because under Islamic law, we should be talking to our enemies, and you're allowed to. You're even encouraged to learn their language. So you see these fluctuations. So you have a population that feels represented under Hamas. You have to know why. You can't obliterate them. They came up for a reason.
Yep, I agree. And I think that the current conditions of the Palestinians and the despair they are in strengthens the support for Hamas. But
absolutely,
I see many issues with Hamas. One is their views of Jews living on this land, and the other is how they treat Palestinians. I don't want that. I don't want that for us. I don't want that for you guys either.
Right. But they've built schools. They've built hospitals. When you're people on the run and a people who are unstable, and somebody comes in and offer these little things of stability, they seem pretty cool. So those things that are missing, and then for the shaheeds, the martyrs, they're the ones that support the families. My kids went to a school that was more observant, and there were a lot of kids who were orphans, and they were orphans from Israeli violence and terrorism, and that school was supporting them. So they take on the orphans, they send them to university, and they give the widows money. And this is part of the quote unquote, where we, incentivize killing. No, that's not what happens. You have people who are orphans, and there's no public sector to take care of them. I mean, UNRWA only does so much. Government cheese does not cover your kids' tuition.
Right. Yeah, in Israel, it's viewed as incentivizing killers, but it's really just taking care of families.
And it's a different reality, and it also existed in the camps in Lebanon, mostly the camps in Lebanon. It's the martyrs, and then again, martyrs are a totally different thing in Islam. It's a totally different understanding. So basically, I mean, just to give you in a nutshell, all Palestinians are considered walking martyrs. Why? Because we are withstanding occupation. So just our living under oppression makes any one of us a martyr. Living under oppression on this land, because this land is, Adar Weinreb. So this is holy land. So we get like double, triple whammies here on religious incentives.
I think that's a very important nuance, that Palestinians support Hamas not because Hamas wants to kill Jews, but because Hamas has helped them. People often miss these levels of complexity when it comes to viewing other people. They view it in terms of, their own narrative and their own fear. So they're like, oh, Hamas was democratically elected in Gaza. That means the Gazans want to kill us.
Right. But if you're going to argue with it as an Israeli, you have to look at the Hamas charter. Hamas charter would not say anything. It doesn't give you any clues to what they've done when it comes to civil society. So the Hamas charter, if you ask your average Hamasi, they have no idea what the charter says. But
the average Israeli does know.
I know.
They know the part about about wiping Israel off the map. So that's the part that we know very clearly. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Right.
And there's also some Quranic verses that are highly debatable. There's also the hadith, the sayings of the prophet that I think they've abused and misinterpreted.
Which we see in all religions, people taking the
Yeah.
text and interpreting it, how they wish. So can you see a situation where Hamas is willing to work with Israel?
They have. They've already. There was when Hania first took over, there was something called a coexistence paper that he wrote up. So they have been. I mean, look. I mean, they're still Islamists, and then look, Hamas is a little bit different because Hamas is contradictory. First of all, in Islam, nationalism is haram. It's prohibited. We do not believe in any type of ethnic rule. We believe in governance. If you know, in Islam, we do not separate politics and religion. The reason why we don't is because governance is supposed to reflect the foundations or the credos that we were taught. So first, they're heretics, more or less in a way, because nationalism is haram. But at the same time, they are protecting the land and they're protecting the people. And then third, in Islam, we have the right to defend ourselves. We believe in inherent rights. In Islam, we're a rights-based religion. So we believe there are certain rights for women, for men, for people, for humankind in general that are inherent. So if you're being attacked, you have the right to defend yourself. But the right to defend yourself is going to be interpreted differently from each person. And because, I mean, their ideology tends to shift on that, you're going to see the violent resistance.
Interesting.
And they feel that they are absolutely justified in doing it, as much of the PLO did, as PFLP, because of the way that they're being treated. So you mean violence with violence.
Right.